KO13 here. I hope you've been having good holidays, good model building. Keep on model building, keep on building those models. Today's video that I'm bringing you is going to be on my Tamiya 148 scale FW-190 D9 Dora of the JV-44 Papegie Staffel, or the Werger Staffel, or the Butcherbird Staffel. Before we get started, please hit the like button and hit the bell for notifications, and also comment and share on this video so that it can move the video around. And again, before we get started, be sure to join our Facebook page right here. And also be sure, once you get on Facebook, to join our selling page, our kit selling page right here. Okay, so today's video is going to be on my Tamiya 148 scale JV-44 Dora. I like these FW-190 schemes from this particular group. They were stationed at Einring, and questions have arisen over the years. Why were they painted bright red? And there was a lot of speculation before, a lot of the literature that came out about 20 years ago, that they were painted bright red because they were trainers. They were painted bright red on the bottom because if you really messed up, they would make you go into combat that way. And all of those are false narratives. The reason these Doras were painted bright red is because Einring was the main base where the Me-262 fighter jets that Germany had just developed used to be stationed at, along with other airfields. But Einring was famous because it had the biggest contingent of the Me-262. And as Allied pilots in the West found out that their P-51 Mustang was no longer king of the airspace over Europe, Germany, and what have you. Because when the 262 came out, the world's first operational jet, and I'm going to be building a model of Adolf Galland's JV-44 262, pretty much the 262 had an over 100 mile per hour speed advantage on the P-51 Mustang, which was one of the fastest piston-driven airplanes of World War II. And actually, the Dora had a better speed than the Mustang also, but that's a story for some other time. But nevertheless, the problem with the 262s were that once they got going, it was great. They were super fast and they were uncatchable, but they were really vulnerable at takeoff or landing, because unlike today's jets, where today's modern technology, you can hit full throttle, and the F-15 was capable of almost vertical straight up takeoff like a rocket because of the power to weight thrust ratio, and that was not the case with the 262. It was a very fast airplane for that time compared to the piston engine airplanes, but it was very vulnerable because it took a long time to get to that speed. And so what Allied pilots started finding out was that they would follow the 262 upon landing, or they would hover near a 262 base and try to catch them while they were taking off, and very vulnerable. And so airfields had to have a fighter contingent, piston fighter contingent group, and the JV-44 Doras of Galland's Circus would be scrambled before the Me-262s would take off, and upon approach for them to land, to fly CAP, Combat Air Patrol, to scope out any P-51s or other airplanes that might be lurking around to try to catch them when they were vulnerable. And so their mission was never to leave the airfield. They just circled over the airfield. And the reason the undersights were painted bright red and white was so that when they were engaging enemy airplanes over the airfield, their own anti-aircraft crews would not shoot them down because they're bright red, and so therefore telling the ground crews, I'm right here, don't shoot me, shoot the airplane I'm chasing, shoot the airplane I'm fighting. And because, you know, air combat becomes twists and turns and desperate moves and what have you, that wasn't always the case. But nevertheless, the bright red bottom helped to identify them as friendly airplanes to their own gunners on the ground. Now, the Papegie Staffel was staffed by 4 FW-190s. There was 3 FW-190s D9s and then an FW-190 D11. The FW-190 D11 was supposed to be the ground attack version of the FW-190 D9, and it was equipped with 2 outer 30 millimeter Mark 108 cannons. And so very few of that were built. That's why it was so rare also. Only about maybe 11 were built as opposed to a couple of hundred D9s and what have you. And so what would happen is that they would be scrambled out. And the doors consisted of 4 numbers. The camouflage consisted of RLM 82 and 81 on top, which was a dark green and a lighter green, as you can see in the model here and in the footage there. And they all had red numbers. There was red 1, red 3, which I just built, red 4, which was the Dora D11, and then there was red 13. Now I built the Dora, the FW-190 D11 Red 4 in 2002, and I utilized the back then Pro Modeler kit, which was the Dragon kit, which was really horrible, but I did a good job on it, and I'll show you some pictures right here. And so I built that in 2002, and it came out decent for the model that it was and what have you. There was no real decent FW-190 D11 kit out on the market then, so I built it out of that. And I built red 3 here, and then I'm going to be building red 1. So I will be building 3 of the 4 Doras. The reason being is that I'm going to rebuild the red 4 because in 2012 it was sitting in a case like you see back there, and I don't remember what happened, but something, I think my ex-wife's dog or something jumped on it and then it flipped, and I had these frames that had the picture, but they were really heavy, and it fell right on the model and it broke into a million pieces. That one and another FW-190 that I built, which was an FW-190 A4 Fritz Lossage kite of JG1, and I'll show you the picture right here. So I'm going to be building both of those because they broke to a million pieces. I still have the original pictures, and they were both built in 2002 and did really good at the contest and what have you. But again, they broke into a million pieces in 2012, and I was so pissed. Trust me, I wanted to kill myself because I didn't grab the dog fast enough or whatever. But anyway, It is what it is. And so what happened was that you had the excellent Edward releases later on, and so they released an FW-190 D11, and so I immediately acquired it, and I'm going to be redoing the FW-190 D11 of Papegie Staffel Red 4, which is an excellent Edward kit, and I've already got all the markings and decals and all of that stuff. The reason I built this Red 3 first was because I originally bought this kit in about 2007, I believe, on eBay, believing it was just a regular kit, and I don't remember why. I think it was a really good price or whatever, and it came halfway built. It came started, and it pissed me off because the seller did not specify that it was started, but it wasn't started to the point where the cockpit was started. He just glued the two fuselage halves together like a bonehead and did the wings, which I said, okay, I can work with this. And so I started putting the kit together. It also came with a Jadar photo etch set, as you'll see in the pictures here. And so I proceeded to put it together, and I was trying to figure out, what scheme I wanted. And I said, well, I'm gonna be building the FW-190 D9 JV-44 Red 1. And so initially I wanted to build Red 1 out of this, but then I felt, no, it was already started. And when I do Red 1, I'm going to go all out, and I'm going to do, because Red 1 was the leader. And so I don't know. I just did not want to do Red 1 with a started aircraft kit. And so I said, I'll do Red 3. And I went from there. And the reason I wanted to do Red 3 is because I wanted to build one of each. Red 1 is an early FW-190 D9 with the old FW-190A series canopy that just blew down like that, and then the antenna wire goes through the canopy, through a hole, through a roller, and down attached into the fuselage. FW-190 Red 3, Papegie Staffel, had the later bubble canopy where there was no tension on the antenna wire. And so the later ones, when the canopy was open, the antenna wire would just sag because there was no tensioner to maintain a constant tension on it. It was just attached to the outer part of the bubble canopy. And so this is why I will be building these. I will be building Red 1 and Red 4 still. But I have completed Red 3 for a started kit. I think I did okay. You're going to see some of the pictures of the cockpit before it was installed. And I used Gunzi Zangyo paints. This was the first time I used it. A friend of mine used to swear by the color and swear by them. These are not Tamiya, as Tamiya are acrylics. And then acrylics land really dry and flat. These flow really nice, and the color is almost spot on to the point where you really don't have to adjust it. So now for any of my Luftwaffe camo airplanes, I'm going to be using Gungzi Sangyo, and you can still get it on eBay and all of that stuff. But I'm really happy with the results. I like the way the model came out. The model is pretty much straightforward except for the Jadar set, which is basically based on the cockpit. I scratch built the brake lines on the wheel struts, on the landing gear struts, and scratch built one of the antennas that goes behind the loop antenna that's in the back, which I should have scratch built the loop antenna too, but I think it came up fairly decent. And I like the color. I like the way it looks. I like the camo scheme. And I really like the look of the Dora in this scheme. Again, these were based at Einring and were tasked to defend the airfield against lumbering fighters from the Allied forces to try to knock out the Me-262 jets. And without further ado, let's get going with the video. Before we get going, I want to give a shout out to the Scale Armory and Hangar on Facebook. I want to give a shout out to our page. Be sure to join our page, Los Angeles Model Maniacs page. I want to give a shout out to Dioramas Militares, which is a Latin group out of Latin America. I want to give a shout out to scale models and dioramas of World War II on Facebook, World War II diorama art on Facebook, Armor Modeling Preservation Society on Facebook, IPMS Sacramento, my old group, on Facebook. There's just so many. The Tamiya Model Magazine page on Facebook. Join our page, and then I put links to the other pages, and you can veer off from right there. Again, last year was a heavy model building year. I didn't get to a lot of videos. I'm going to be putting up a lot more videos of the models and of the dioramas. I've got a diorama coming out with a 21st Panzer Division in Normandy, and that's all I'll say to that. I'll wait till it's out so you can see the video on it. I'm going to be doing a couple of how-to videos to help people out that have asked me to do photo etch, working with photo etch on the benders and all of that stuff. So stay tuned. Again, like, share, comment. It helps the videos move around, and it helps the channel out a lot. Here is the model without further ado, and I'll see you at the end.
Platz nicht auf mein Grab. Da kam ein stolzer Reiter und brach sie ab. Jubilälla, da kam ein stolzer Reiter und brach sie ab. Ach, weiter, lieber Reitersmann, lass doch die Lilien stehen. Die soll ja mein Weißmädchen noch einmal singen. Jubilälla, die soll ja mein Weißmädchen noch einmal singen.
Okay, that was the video. I hope you liked it. Again, join our page, Los Angeles Model Maniacs, and become a member there of our page so you can post your work and you can learn about what we're doing and all of the latest builds and videos. And again, I'm going to be putting up more videos, and I'm going to be hitting a couple of contests early in the year and hopefully getting some footage from those contests. Again, I will continue to put out models as long as I can, okay? So until then, Panzer Keel out and happy modeling.